Welcome to Live, Laugh, Loads, a fun podcast for gay men exploring authenticity and vulnerability.
Where we talk about gay culture, mental health, relationships, and sex. Come take a load off with me, Ryan.
And me, Dario. So sit back, strap in, and enjoy the ride.
Well, we're recording. We're recording now. Oh, we're in episode 1. It's happening.
It's happening.
Coming out.
It's coming out.
We're coming out.
So, do we need to say the name of the episode?
I feel like we I mean, I just did, so it's a little too late. Unless...
Yeah. Well, hurry, all right.
Hi, Dario. Nice to meet you for the first time in the podcast sphere.
In the podcast. Yeah, I like this. Hi, everybody. This is Live, Laugh, Loads, episode 1.
It took us 3 hours to get here today, just so you know.
So, neither of us have recorded a podcast before. And I got really a lot of gear, and several people helped me try to set up this. And so finally, after months that we've been planning to do this, today was our recording day. And we realized that we didn't know how to actually record.
Neither of us did any homework. Nobody came prepared. It took a lot of time.
But here we are. We're going to give this a try. And official introductions. My name is Dario, and I'm with my co-host,
Ryan.
Should I call you
He
co-host?
was having trouble remembering my name, FYI, earlier. He just stared at me for a second while he was trying to title my microphone.
Absolutely not. What was happening? They were like, we were trying to set up several devices. I had a friend texting me instructions. He was reading me my other instructions, and I was trying to configure something completely different. Anyhow, I like the word co-host. I think the word co-host.
Co-host?
Host.
Co-host?
Co-host.
Co-host.
I think it's better than
C-E-hose.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we have a script here. We're gonna try to get through it. The idea for this episode, more than anything, is just to give you an overview of what we're planning to talk about and a little bit of our history. And so, yeah, let's start there.
Yeah, get to know us, get to know the podcast.
So tell me, Ryan, what is a fun fact about you?
A fun fact about Ryan. By the time I graduated high school, I had been to 9 different schools and lived in 9 different homes.
That's pretty cool.
Those numbers are a lot higher now.
Do you want to name those locations?
Oh, like the states? I mean, I lived in first Texas. There were 3 different houses in Texas up until about 6 years old, and then just one house in Ohio till about 10, and then all over Philly suburbs after that.
Wow, you're
Yeah.
such a traveler. I don't like traveling.
I don't know if you can call it traveling when you're a youth who's at the mercy of your parents and you don't really have any say in the matter.
Yeah. Do you feel that that was a nice childhood?
In what way? Like, do I think of my childhood like in a positive light or a negative light?
Yeah.
I definitely like enjoyed my childhood. I think I had a good childhood.
I love that.
Yeah, I think moving around, because like Texas is the South, Ohio is Midwest, and then you get to Pennsylvania, which is East Coast, like Philly specifically, which is East Coast. So it's 3 very different like climates. Like I remember very specifically between Ohio to Pennsylvania. I remember like my middle school in Ohio. I think there was quite literally 1 black person in the entire school.
Oh,
And then I moved to Philly suburbs, and
Right.
I was a minority in my own classroom. So I remember
Wow.
having this like really profound moment of like the realization that like white people weren't the majority in the
Yeah.
world. Like,
Yeah.
so I remember having that was an interesting moment to have at 10.
So, Yeah, that sounds very
What's your fun fact?
my fun fact. Um, my fun fact. I think like people are surprised. So about 20 years ago, when I was in my 20s, I was a backup dancer for Panic at the Disco.
It definitely doesn't track with the look, I will say that.
I did not have this look. Do you want to describe what you're seeing?
Muscle daddy covered in like this very unique, like distinct tribal adjacent tattoo. Um, with the San Francisco nose piercing, not emo, indie, all Panic at the Disco. But I will say that I high school me is extremely jealous. I remember having like a burned version of Panic at the Disco's first CD before it actually had been officially released, and like
Whoa.
I listened to that shit non-stop. Like it was the only thing in my little CD player that I had to walk around with for probably a good month.
Oh, that's cute. So yeah, so we were on tour with the first album. My look at the time was definitely very, very much Twinkie.
So you said 20 years ago. So how old were you?
42 now.
So 22. Okay.
Yeah, I was 22. It was about a year. It wasn't every concert, but it was definitely their first the first tour for the first album. Some of my friends are on the first video, Horizons. I didn't make it in the video, but I do have the outfit from the video because it was from one of our shows that we did. I was in the circus.
Well,
So I
yeah.
guess that's also a fun fact.
Wait,
fact
you were
about-
in the circus, like an actual circus, not like a circus related to
Correct.
Panic at the Disco, because they
Correct.
definitely had circus themed music videos.
Correct. And that's kind of how it happened. We were a performance troupe prior, and I think the manager or an agent for them saw us performed in LA, and they reached out to the director of the circus because we were a circus team. And so they first brought a couple of our troopers. Well, what is the word? Circus.
I mean, I like troopers,
Yeah, troopers, performers.
but I don't think that's the right
I think it's performers.
word. Circus troopers sounds wrong.
Yeah, performers. And those were the ones that recorded the album, the video for the first song. And then after that, they loved us so much that then they wanted us to go on tour, and that's when I was brought into that project. And yeah, and so I was dancing with them. I had a big following of 15-year-olds that somehow figure out my name on MySpace.
I feel like there's got like I bet like was seeing imagery of you at the time because I was 13, 14, 15 at that time.
Possibly. I mean, I think like digital cameras were just starting to come out of the scene at the time.
Oh
Like,
yeah, oh
like,
yeah.
I had one. It was really expensive, and I wouldn't actually want to take it out because it
It was
was
really big and
yeah,
clunky
it was
too. It had
clunky.
probably like 4 AA
Yeah.
batteries in
So
it.
this is definitely before the phones and all of that. But I'm sure that there's some photos. I have some photos from the time that were professionally taken. But I seen, on YouTube, I remember finding some random videos at some point of like very grainy and then they were like, yeah, just recorded from,
W-
shitty things.
Well, I'm certain that I went to a Panic at the Disco concert
Do you
at least once.
do you remember which location?
No, I went to so many emo concerts during that phase of my life.
Wait, were they considered emo? I don't.
Yeah, they were Fallout Boys like baby.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, emo, I would know if I would necessarily put their music under the category of emo, but I can tell you that all emo kids were listening to Panic at the Disco. They would probably be considered like alt indie rock, like
Interesting.
just like Fallout Boy would be.
Interesting.
But they're
Well,
definitely just like a dancier, slightly more upbeat version of Fallout Boy, at least at the time. I don't know what Fallout Boy sounds like now.
yeah, and yeah, I guess that there was a look, but obviously because it was circus theme, I wouldn't really fully associate it. I guess like I owe you a a photo, so maybe I'll post that as our first photo on our Instagram.
Oh yeah, episode 1, Dario 22, emo Panic at the Disco backup dancer. That's
Yeah.
the cover image.
I have a photo of myself actually doing makeup on Brendan.
How old were they?
It's about
The
a
same
little
age
bit
as you?
younger, a little bit younger.
That's what I
I
thought.
think Brandon was like 19 and I was like 22.
I remember there was also a Ryan in the band, and he
On
was
the
cute.
original one, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brendan and Ryan were the
Yeah.
cuties.
Yeah. Both
Mhm.
of them. The guitar player, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. And then there was the other one with the longer hair.
I don't remember what any of them looked out besides
Yeah.
Brendan
I
and
have
Ryan.
photo with all of them after I did the the makeup for them. Obviously, I was like the gay way gay.
I probably have image. I mean, it's like crazy because there's so much like pictures of me that are like lost to time because I think the only place that they ever existed was on MySpace.
Yeah, it was MySpace, and I am so sad that like I cannot log into that account anymore.
Do those profiles even exist though? I don't even think that they
No.
exist
I'm
anymore.
pretty sure Justin Timberlake bought it and
Yeah.
then made an audio music tool, and everything else just
Isn't
probably
that
got
what
lost.
isn't that what MySpace originally was though? It was for bands and music artists.
Is
And
that how it started?
I don't know. I mean, I know that that became obviously a huge component of it. My understanding was that that was how it started.
Okay.
I definitely remember like using MySpace for that a lot, like to
Well,
discover new music.
I love this topic, but it's absolutely not
The
what
point of what we're
of our
actually here to
podcast.
do. So now you know everything about a very specific small portion of Dario's life. So
And it was like about a year, so not really that relevant. But let's move on.
this episode is about Dario coming out as a backup dancer.
So, the podcast goal. Do you want to share with our listeners what this is actually about?
So I mean, I definitely think we have a lot of topics that we want to cover. I think a big point of this is kind of just like creating this space to like share and discuss the gay experience. I think back to like being younger and like not having any avenues like logo TV to like see, hear, and even like now as an adult, like socializing with like gay men. It feels like it's often hard to like, I don't know, broach tough topics. And yeah, I think Dario has like a little bit more of like the mental health therapy.
That's true, but I think that's just a component. Just to reply to what you were saying, in the times that we're living. So we're recording this on February 15th, 2025. Trump is the president, sort of. Um, Elon Musk is involved there as well. And, some of the things that are happening, they have been trying to ban books in Florida. Recently, we got a list of ban words for anything that is grants for the government.
Well, did you see they scrubbed the word transgender from anything related to the Stonewall today? I saw all this posting about it. And
Correct.
even now, like the website, everything says like LGB, there's no T involved.
Correct. And so they're trying to erase our trans brothers and sisters, and it's crazy. I was talking to my sister-in-law this morning, and she was sharing I have a non-binary nibbling, and
Niffling?
it's a nibbling.
What is a niffling?
It's
Like a
not
niece or a nephew?
or a nephew, yes.
Okay.
But it's the non-binary.
Oh, that's the
It's
non-binary.
the
Now I
non-binary.
understood.
That is the non-binary term,
I've never
which I
heard
had
that
to learn
before.
myself. I didn't know that either.
I actually think it's really cute.
It's nibbling.
I like it
Yeah.
way better. It sounds like a little bit like something from like a video game, like a creature, like
Yeah.
a little like a Pokemon.
I think like when I was learning it, I would say nibble. And it was-
Nibble Longbottom.
But it's kind of cute because they were like my little babies, so like they were a little nibble of a
Yeah,
human,
yeah.
I will nibble on them.
It's an adorable term. It's certainly an adorable term.
So my nibbling, they've been essentially questioning the topic, but particularly my sister-in-law wanted to ask me because they have a gay black friend, And apparently, this gay black friend made some jokes about being gay and being black, and it was funny, according to my sister-in-law. But my sister-in-law and my brother, they have taught to their kids that obviously racism is not okay, and bigotry is not okay, and bullying is not okay. And so my nibbling, they were really up in arms, and they were like, "Oh no, he made a joke about being gay and about being black, and I think I'm gonna cut them off." And so I was telling to my sister-in-law, I think you're at the time where you need to teach them about subtlety. One, secondly, uh you can joke about your own experience, like that is okay.
Yeah,
you know
healthy even.
you can say, you know as a gay man, I can call my friend a faggot, or they can call me a faggot, and you can also put boundaries, like I don't really like when my friends call me girl, so like easily I just was like, hey, I don't like that.
That's good for me to know because I call everything and everyone
I
girl.
don't know if you have. And like it's not something that I'm gonna stop a conversation if that happens. But if it's repeated, or if it's someone new in my life, like I think like it's just like, I don't resonate with that particular call out, but I'm also not gonna get offended by it. Like it's not like a big deal. So boundaries.
Well,
Fun.
even like stepping back a little bit, like now that I'm thinking about it, it's like when I say girl, I'm not necessarily like referring to the person. It's
Absolutely.
just like girl.
Right.
It's
Yeah, absolutely.
the ominous girl.
Exactly. Just like I will say dude to a girl. It's the same
It's
thing.
more like
Yeah.
saying or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, absolutely. And so, like, I think in that context, when that happens, like, I don't even process it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But when it's just very directive, as like me as, that's when I probably draft that boundary. I also wouldn't want someone I'm dating to call me that for some reason. Like, it just doesn't resonate. But my friends is different. I will let them call me whatever the fuck they want. Like, that's just different, right? Um,
Well,
but
yeah, like pulling back to the faggot word. Like Drew specifically like hates that
are
word.
we saying names? Hi, Drew.
Hi, Drew. I mean, he's probably going to be on the podcast eventually
Yeah.
anyway, so I'm definitely going to force him to come on here.
Great. Another 3 hours trying to set up a third microphone.
No, he'll just sit next to me. Oh, shit, that's right. Oh my
Yeah.
God, guests. What are you going to do about guests?
We have plenty of microphones.
We're going to need the vocast. We're going to need one of those Scarlet
Yeah,
things.
we'll figure it out. But to wrap around this conversation about my nibbling, um, I went online to literally look for books for teens. And I was doing that and thinking, whoa, this could all be banned at any point for all these new kids that are trying to figure out life, trying to figure out what the gay experience is, or living in the spectrum or the rainbow, whatever we want to call that. And I kind of mentioned that. I was like, I'm gonna send 4 books for them, and but also like this is crazy. Like this could all be like banned. I don't know. Like it just really like shocked me into like the reality, and why I think it's important to have a record and a history of experiences.
That's beautiful. I know. Well, it's like, yeah, no, I mean, what do we do with it? It's crazy because it feels like we're going back farther than even when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, because I think about the difference of like what people get to see out in like social media and television now versus like when I was, like I said, the only thing back then was Logo TV.
I don't even know what that is.
It was just like some random TV station. Like that was where RuPaul's Drag Race first used to air.
Oh,
Was on
wow.
Logo
Yeah.
TV. I remember watching it like in my basement.
You're younger than me, right?
Yeah, 9 years.
Yeah, I think I missed that.
Yeah, you were 22 at the time. I was 13. You
Right.
were busy with the Panic at the Disco.
Yeah, I was on tour. Well, I thought that
I
we
was
came
sad
around.
and crying in my basement. So
Yeah. So anyhow, that's what is important to me, and I know that you mentioned mental health. I think like the older that I gotten, um, I I lean on mental health stuff, and I promote it, and I've been in therapy for 7 years now. Oh, and I wanted to tell you, I
I have
just
also therapy things that I'm excited to talk to you about.
yeah, great.
I
Uh,
figured that was what the thing you wanted to tell me was.
yeah,
I had an
yeah.
idea.
So I have noticed in the last week that I'm extra happy and extra giggly, and so what I actually try, it's K therapy.
Yeah, I remember you saying that you were getting ready to get started.
Yeah,
So
so
how many sessions have you had so far?
only one.
Ooh, and
And
already you feel like you're noticing a difference.
well, so they do say that like there's a certain percentage of people that feel it within the first session. 2 to 3 will be like most people, and and in some rare cases you have to do all six, which is the package that I got. Unfortunately, I don't want to promote the brand because I had this really weird thing happen.
When you say brand, you mean like the people that you're going, the
Yeah,
organization that
so
you're getting the therapy
there are
through?
several ones. I'm not gonna like call them out, but they switched my psychiatrist after the first session, and it was very key for me that it had to be a gay psychiatrist and ideally an immigrant. Um, and I found that in the repertoire, and so I had my first it was like an assessment meeting with them, and it was great, and I was like, oh my god, I feel so much more at ease to do this thing because I didn't know what was going to happen or how it was going to feel. But just having someone that understood was great. And so I go through my first session, and they match you with a coach for the session, and so it's all very controlled and very safe. And I think it was a wonderful experience in general, but nothing that I was like feeling the the healing happening. It was just more like a musical journey. And at the end of it, I talked to my coach, and it was great, but I didn't really had any particular breakthroughs, like I have had in regular CBT therapy. Anyhow, so then you're set for the second session with your psychiatrist to adjust the dosage, just kind of actually talk about the experience in more detail. And I was really looking forward to share with this person, like things that came up afterwards, not during, but after. And so I get into the Zoom, and this all white lady appears on camera, and I'm really confused. She started asking me all these questions to check in, and I'm like,
Are you the
I'm sorry.
secretary?
I'm sorry, who are you? And like, mind you, my psychiatrist, which could have been a problem, he was this beautiful Cuban man. So imagine the shock when this like old lady,
Well, especially that you didn't get any
no,
communication
no
about
message
it.
at all.
That's insane.
And so that was actually the biggest, most, disconcerting part of it all. Like I'm like, at least just send me a fucking email.
Yeah.
So apparently the Cuban boy, the Cuban guy, he quit. he doesn't work for the company anymore.
So you just need to find out where he went.
Oh, I have his Instagram.
There you go.
I literally like stalk him a little bit. Like but it was actually
Okay, so maybe this is for the best.
yeah. No, if
I'm
this
hearing
was
some
not my
red
idea,
flags.
this was not my idea. This is my friend Christy. I'm calling you out. She was like, "You gotta find him. You thought like he was hot. Now you can flirt with him." I was like, "No, I'm not gonna do that."
No, he could be more valuable as a therapist.
Well, all I know is that he has a boyfriend, and they're in an open relationship. I think that was sharing way too much information. I don't know if I needed to know that part.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that any dive, like I had when I was younger, at one point, my therapist was like my best friend's mom, which was
Oh,
definitely.
conflict of interest for
Yeah,
sure.
I'm not gonna say any names. I'm gonna get her in trouble
Yeah.
retrospectively.
Yeah.
20 years later, she loses her license.
So anyhow, so I beyond that, I actually cancel the
Damn.
rest of the sessions because so I asked, I was like, okay, well, give me other options. Let me choose. It's
Especially
like,
given that you had very specific like parameters for what you
right,
were looking
correct.
for, and the fact, like, to me, it's so crazy because I had such the opposite experience. I'm happy to name drop. I go through Octave Health,
Okay.
and so what happened was is me and my partner just started doing couples therapy, and we're long distance. So I'm here in California, he lives in Pennsylvania. So when I did my like request like submission on their page, I explicitly said like we need somebody who can do a long distance relationship with people who are in two different states. So we had like a whole intake session with this one woman, and she was not licensed in both states, but we proceeded to go through the first session anyway. And then of course, like hours later, she emails us and is like, "Oh yeah, I won't be able to be your therapist because I'm not licensed in both states." And then first it just started off with me like reaching out to somebody at customer service to be like, hey, so she needs to get paid because she worked, but I'm not paying her because you set me up with somebody who wasn't an option for me from the get-go.
Right.
And it instigated this entire like whoever it was on the other end, I think his name was Tim. I want to like
Tim, come on, Tim.
no, Tim is
Ser-
great. We love
Okay.
Tim.
We loved him.
Tim spent like I think 2 months doing like sifting through Octave therapists to try to find somebody who had
Mm,
like good ratings and was qualified and
right.
like hit all of our markers, and was even saying like, and if he doesn't work out, I'm working on compiling like some external resources outside of Octave.
Right.
Like he did
Oh,
crazy.
that's beautiful.
He was an amazing job. Like I literally feel like I need to like send him flowers or a gift or something. But yeah, like we got matched with an amazing therapist, and it's so much communication throughout the whole, like it's just wild that
Yeah.
they were like, he's not gonna notice.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's like it was very specific. Like I was searching for someone very specific, and so before I actually canceled the rest of my sessions, I was like, okay, well, let me see your options. I'm looking for someone that is non-white and ideally works with LGBTQ trauma. I wasn't even asking for, you know, they have to be gay
A cute
ultimately.
Cupid boy.
Yeah, exactly. Preferably a male. Like I will absolutely never be able to share, and I try um to share sexual stuff with a woman therapist. So I just want to read you the names of the people
Are
that
they
I
like
got
the
back.
whitest names you've
They're
ever?
the whitest names that I ever heard.
One of them's gonna be Ryan.
No, because they were mostly females. So Elizabeth,
Mhm,
Chelsea, Caitlin,
mhm.
Julie, Stacy, and Richard.
And Richard.
Richard. And they were all, 65, 70 plus. And I am not ageist, but, even if they could relate to the gay experience
In the modern
in
world.
the modern world, like it will be hard. It will
Yeah.
be hard for them to do that. And, like, all the love to these people, I'm sure they're absolutely qualified. And that was not the problem because I think that support was like, oh, but they're qualified. They helped a lot of people. And I'm like, I'm sure that they're qualified. I just not gonna be able to share in the same way that I can share my immigrant experience, and the same way that I can share, you know, my gay experience. I sometimes even have problems sharing with like my gay medical doctor, because he's a little judgy. So like, like I feel like I have to like just kind of like, cut some of the fluff,
I
and
definitely understand the
yeah.
sentiment. I will say that again, I feel like I've gotten really lucky. My primary care physician is like a mid-30s gay man who's like, I feel, but I think it's also my first primary care physician back in Pennsylvania was also really awesome. So my baseline for like what I expect out of a relationship with my primary care physician is like pretty high. I need somebody who I can be completely honest
Right.
with. So I will say I feel lucky in that I do have that.
Yeah, I feel
It's very
like
important.
I generally if I go to my regular doctor, um, I it's just for like regular stuff. But anything that is like gay related, STIs, sexual health, I prefer to go to the gay clinics, and I've been doing this since ever, since I didn't have money, and even now that I have a good insurance and money, like it's just like I prefer to go to the gay clinic, and I always donate for them, because the level of care and understanding and non-judgment and like actually education that happens in these places, it's so much more specific. They know so much more than what this stagnant doctor sometimes in the office, like they're completely oblivious to what it is to be gay in the modern world. So
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm HIV positive, so I go to like a HIV positive healthcare center from UCSF. So I feel like that's kind of the
yeah.
experience there. There's resources everywhere. I even remember one time I was just like sitting in the waiting room, and I guess that they had these like grocery bags that they were giving out to people in need, and he was like, well, it's gonna get thrown away if you don't want it. So I literally got to leave from my doctor's office with the bag full of groceries. It was amazing.
That's
I got to
fantastic.
try. It was the first time I had ever tried, or at least ever like had I think it's cojita. It's like a Mexican cheese of some kind.
Cotija?
Maybe that's how you pronounce it. Very white over here. Don't speak Spanish at all. Like a white crumbly cheese.
Cotija, yeah, maybe.
Yes. Yeah, it's the first time I'd ever had that stuff. That was good. Like I put it on everything.
Well, I'm not Mexican, so
Yeah.
we don't have that.
Yeah.
I'm from Argentina, so. Well, we were supposed to keep this one light, but I don't know if it's our nature to be light.
Yeah, we can split it up into 2 episodes if
Yeah.
we
Because like now you mentioned something, and I'm gonna want to dig into that. But
Oh, the HIV thing?
yeah,
Yeah,
um,
let's do it.
I feel like I knew that. But I was wondering mostly how has your experience changed? Um, when did you find out?
I was 25 or 26. I was living it was one of the only other time in my life aside from now that I was actually like living independently, like by myself. I was living in South Philly. And I remember it was like maybe like 4 or 6 months that I had like a lot of GI issues. And then one morning I woke up and I thought I had like a sinus infection or something.
Mhm.
So I got an appointment at Thomas Jefferson University. It was the only place where I could get somebody to like see me that day. And yeah, they just run a bunch of tests, and I got a call like a couple of days later and they asked me to come into.
And this was before prep, right?
Was it before prep? I think it was when prep, so let's see. So if I was 25, 26, it was like 2015, 2016. So it was
And
kind
I
of when
think it was
prep was
just coming.
just starting. And I remember, because I remember there being like still like stigma about it. And I
Yeah.
was like, I even remember at the time I was like on the fence about whether I felt like I should be asking for something like that, because I think even maybe in me there was a little bit of like stigma and fear.
Do we need to explain what prep is?
I mean, probably smart. I mean, in case we have audience members who are not gay or
Yeah.
are maybe even just like in extremely rural places. So PrEP is well, post pre-exposure prophylaxis. So a medication that you can take to prevent yourself from getting HIV if you get exposed to it. And
Correct.
while it's only listed as 99% effective, so far statistically it's been 100% effective.
Yeah. And yeah, and so I'm on prep, and so the way that this works is you take prep daily if you are being sexually active. If you are not sexually active, you can do what is called 211, which is not yet approved in the US, but it is approved in England and Australia as another way to like literally jumpstart the protection. And so you have to take it every day for 7 days to be protected.
Wait, you said that option is not approved? I thought that there was a on the spot, like I think I got exposed, like I can go to a doctor or a clinic or something and All of the lights just turned on automatically, just so you know why we had a weird little pause there. We've been sitting here in the dark, and the apartment decided that there needed to be lights on. Sorry, what were we talking about?
Prep.
Prep.
On
Yeah.
the spot, you were saying something.
I just thought that there was something that you
So
could get here in America.
there's post expose.
Yeah.
So that's post. So that's when you believe that you were exposed to HIV, you
So-
can go and then they literally load you with this really strong
Okay.
antivirals.
That's what I thought you were talking
And
about.
then it essentially kills
Yeah,
any
yeah.
potential.
But you were talking about something different.
I was talking about something different. 211 is essentially if you haven't been taking PrEP daily for 7 days, because when you miss a dose, your protection percentage goes down. If
Mhm.
you're on 7 days, then that's when the highest is, and then you can have sex absolutely protected. 211 is when you haven't been taking it. So, for example, right now, I have been in a dry spell, and so I haven't been having sex, and so I'm not taking antivirals, and that's better for my system overall. It's better for your liver, less complications. But let's say that I go on a date, and there is a potential that that may happen. I can take 2 pills, two 2 hours prior to sex, unprotected sex, obviously, we're talking about here. And 1 pill after, and then another pill after, a day after, and a day after. And that will essentially reset me back into full protection.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's why it's called 211, but it has not been approved in the US. And with the way that laws are going,
It's not going to be for a while. Yeah, no, when I went into, I just had, so I don't take pills. I recently, maybe in November-ish, started on Cabenuva, so I'm getting the 2 shots twice a month,
Oh,
or
that's
once every
great.
other month.
Yeah.
So I just went in and had my shot on Wednesday, I think it was. And I don't know why. I guess I got distracted or something, but I definitely went into the appointment in the mindset of like maybe I should be asking about like if I need to be concerned about having access in the near future. But I feel like they would have brought it
I
up
feel
to
like
me.
so we are located in California. We're in San Francisco. Is definitely the gay mecca of the states. I would say maybe perhaps New York and LA may follow closely with Hollywood, but I believe California will protect us.
Yeah, I will say, if anything, it seems like Trump, for the most part, is at least about like putting things down to the state level. And if we're going to be in any state, I agree that California
Yeah,
feels like the safest place
from
to
all the
be.
places. So my question about prep was specifically about like if prep was coming into the scene. I remember my own experience of what it was growing up without prep, and I grew up in the '80s in Argentina, which is an underdeveloped country. Um, I think there was a lot of fear about HIV. I remember Madonna coming out and talking about, you know, uh, HIV people are still human. You know, I remember Lady Diana when she touched someone with
Princess
HIV.
Diana,
Yeah,
yeah,
Princess Diana.
iconic.
When she touched, HIV positive people at the hospital, and it was the first time that she was essentially breaking through the barriers and the stigma. But I grew up with so much fear about sex, and I remember through my teenage years and through my 20s and early 30s, I was very, very scared of having sex. And every time I will have sex, I will feel the guilt. And I'm talking about the times, where you had to wait 2 weeks to go and test after a potential infection. And then you had to wait another 3 to 4 weeks for the results. And that month that they will take you for you to get the results was so stressful because at the time it was a death sentence. And so we have come like a long ways, but I do remember in my 30s finally when I got on PrEP, and I was, still very much a prude at the time, and I still wasn't having sex. And I remember for like 2 years, I was taking PrEP
You're like,
because
why
I
should I be
knew,
taking this?
because I thought that it was a social responsibility to be on PrEP and to stop, spreading, this virus.
Oh, I mean, in my opinion, they should put it in the drinking water. If they put it in the drinking water for like a generation, we can wipe out
Yeah,
HIV
it will be done.
entirely.
It will be done. And so, um, we can talk about like how much money HIV positive people generates, and also this PrEP, and that's the
I
reason why it wouldn't be in the water. But
I have no idea
yeah,
what Cabenuva costs me because like I have to go to the doctors to get it done. It's not like a
right.
prescription. I know that when I was taking Biktarvy, that 1 month prescription of Biktarvy is in the 4,000s.
I have not heard the name Cabanuba, but it sounds like chocolate with nougat inside. I don't know. It sounds
Cabenuva,
Cabanuba.
dark chocolate, nougat.
So,
You're not you when you're hungry.
oh my goodness. Um, my point was, yeah, eventually I I relaxed around this whole concept of um being on PrEP, having sex. I started enjoying sex in my 30s, which is crazy because, having sex and thinking you're gonna die, it's such a older gay experience. And I don't know if the kids these days understand that, but
I don't even like
yeah,
I don't even remember
yeah,
having that feeling. I remember like to me, like the concept of getting HIV didn't feel any more scary really than getting any other
STI.
STI did, until I got it.
And how did you
Um,
feel?
I remember the first thing because at the time I was very much of the mindset that like I wanted like a much more heteronormative nuclear family
Mm.
setup.
Oh, you were still caught on the
Yeah, I thought I wanted like a
programming.
husband and I wanted kids and yeah, like all the dumb stuff. Um, um, so at the time, like I remember one of the first things I was thinking was, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to like have biological
Mm.
children anymore.
Oh.
Um, so, and then there was definitely a period of like feeling like a little like dirty.
Mm. Yeah.
I remember I was always honest, even when I mean I've always been honest. I know other people because
The
some
stigma.
people still have stigma about
Yeah.
like even if people are undetectable, some people will still not like quote unquote take that risk. So I know some people who are
Mm-hmm.
undetectable who will like
Yeah.
just say that they're negative, but I've always
Mm.
felt obligated to be honest. And so
That's a really, really interesting topic. So my last short experience with someone, we only lasted like about 5 months. He didn't disclose to me that
you guys were together for 5 months and he was what, positive and undetectable and never
he
told
didn't.
you?
No, 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 no. He didn't disclose to me prior to us having unprotected sex.
Oh,
Um, and I was on PrEP, so it wasn't, I was on PrEP. I have done my education system about undetectable, and I have let go of the fear and the stigma years and years ago. I think pretty much before I even got on PrEP, I had already understood, like the differences. But also undetectable wasn't a thing at the beginning either. Like that's something that came later on.
I would
Yeah,
say that that came
yeah,
around sometime around at least a year or two after I got, probably I would say
yeah,
maybe within a year
yeah.
because it was before I met Josh. I
Yeah.
remember that.
So things did change drastically from both ends, the positive and the negative experience. But yeah, no, this person did not disclose to me, and we were having, I think, our third or fourth date, and it was obviously going well. And I kind of mentioned, if I needed to get tested now that we were kind of sort of, gonna become exclusive, mostly because he had told me about this other person that he found out that he was going to sex parties, and it was his previous fuck buddy. And so I was like more on like a logistical, thing. It's like, oh, okay, are we safe? Should I go get tested so we can get the the slate clean. And and it's like I don't have any judgments towards anything, like not HIV, not any of the other STIs. And he looked at me very serious and was like, "Well, I'm HIV positive." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's fine." And then there was like a moment where like I was like, "I feel like you should have disclosed that to me prior to us having sex." Like I asked you if you were on PrEP and you said yes. And you could have just say, "Hey, I'm undetectable." And it would not have changed my decision to want to have sex with you. But I felt like, I don't know, I felt like there was,
Well, because it's a lie.
yeah,
He's lying to
it
you.
was a,
It
it
doesn't
was a
really
trust issue for me.
exactly that. I mean, that's exactly what I was going to say is that
Yeah.
it boils down to like, and especially when it's, I think super early in the game and you're lying,
Yeah.
regardless of what it's about, like a lie is a lie.
Yeah.
And exactly, it's like to me, it makes it in my mind because I know the opposite mindset is like, okay, well, there's no risk to you. All it's going to do is freak you out. And
Correct.
like, I get that,
That was his thing.
but I think it perpetuates this stigma of like not talking about it, not being okay with it, and not trusting the science that
Yeah.
like there really is no risk.
Right. Right. And we had to talk about that. I had to explore that in therapy and be like, "Hey, I feel uncomfortable about it." And and he told me exactly your points. It's like, well, like I have had guys walked out on me after I told them, so I have learned to not mention that. I was like, well, I'm not other guys. And then in therapy I had to, we kind of got upset in that moment, and it took us, a minute to clear the air. Definitely in therapy I had to express, it's like I don't have any judgments, and I don't feel like I am, being unreasonable for wanting to know. Would not have changed my perspective, which is a hard thing to communicate also when it's something brand new. Like this person doesn't know me, he doesn't know how I'm going to react to it, so I understood that part. But ultimately, it came down to the fact that it's like, well, he lies about something difficult to talk about, and I have trust issues. I have the wazoo, so this was not a
We're
good,
gay men, we all have
yeah.
trust issues.
And so it was one of those things that I had to like do a lot of internal work and figure it out, how to um, work with it, and eventually it was fine, and you know we work it through, but. Um, And I do remember this other experience about an ex as well. Uh, we're really, really good friends up to this day, and it's been 20 something years. He was, my first boyfriend in the States. But when I turned 34, and I think it was when PrEP was coming into the scene, but we didn't yet know, um, that it was accessible or whatnot. He he called me one day. He told me that he found out he was HIV positive, and I remember crying with him. One of the things that he was saying was like, nobody's gonna love me, and I'm never gonna be, you know, with anybody. And that was sort of what was happening at the time, right? Like it was such a different time. And I remember crying with him, and I'm like, I remember even telling him, I was like, I think I read something about, like this new medicine coming through, like it was still like this like little glimmer of hope, which wasn't enough. But I just remember that having that conversation, and it's crazy that yeah, things have changed so much. And so I was wondering, like, when you found out and to this day, how things have changed, how you felt then, how do you feel now about it, how it is to live with it?
Definitely a drastic difference. I will say that I don't think I'm lucky in that like I'm very close with my family, so there was no like I was able to be honest with my mom and my sister about it right from the get-go. Like I remember when I got diagnosed, my mom was actually in India at the time. She was like in the process of losing her job, and they had hired somebody to replace her. And she was like, part of her severance package was she negotiated. She's like, okay, well, I want to go to India for a month and I'll train them myself. So while she was on that trip was when I got diagnosed. And I remember specifically scheduling an appointment with my HIV doctor at a time when my mom could be on speakerphone so that she could ask any questions that she wanted to ask, so she could hear everything that he was saying.
Oh,
And then I think my sister was in the room with me at that same time, even.
oh wow, that's beautiful.
So I'm really lucky in that like I have an extremely strong like family support system to like start with.
Mhm.
And then I will say that I remember the first person who I started going out on dates with after I got diagnosed. I think it was maybe our second or third date. We were like going on a walk in the park or something like that. And I confided in him, and it turned out that was also HIV positive and had been diagnosed when he was 16. And
Whoa.
yeah, so then here's like, okay, so like the first person I got to go on a date with is obviously like super accepting and understanding, and then even more informed and has all this experience for me to like like converse and relate to. So I definitely experienced like the situations like that you were talking, like your ex had. Like I remember specifically there was this one guy who I was super into, and we find like I was into him for like a really long time, and then we like finally started like hanging out and going on dates.
Mhm.
And he spent the night at my house one night. The next morning we started getting like really physical, and then he started going down on me, and I like felt obligated to like stop him and confide in him, and that like stopped the sexual activity entirely, and he basically pretty much
Mm,
ghosted me after that,
whoa.
which was crazy because like I used to see him around all the
Mm.
time, which was super weird.
That must have hurt.
And then I mean, in a way, I from a very young age, like I would say like hitting puberty was like, this is who I am, fuck everybody else kind of thing. Like I was coming out,
Mm.
I was going into high school, and I've carried that mentality. Like my experience with that was I pitied him. I was like, what a sad thing for you to like not feel comfortable communicating anything to me at all. And here I was like crazy, super vulnerable and respectful. And your response to that was, I'm not going to talk to this person anymore. So I pity that human being. That human being is going to be alone for the rest of his life because that's,
Well, hopefully he changed
I
or
don't,
educated
I'm not
himself.
optimistic.
I mean, I had to educate myself. The reason why I educated myself in the topic, well,
I mean,
beyond being the fact that is such a like reality for gay men to have to deal with this thing in some way or another. You either dealing with it from the negative side or you're dealing with it from being positive. It's
it's
just
an inevitability
yeah,
for
it's
us.
like it's just part of daily gay life. And I remember having so much fear. So unlike your parents, my parents weren't that supportive, um uh educated. And I remember since I was very, very young, they would say things like, if you have unprotected sex without a condom, you'll die. And that was it. That was the end of the the education. So you can imagine how I didn't enjoy sex until prep came into the scene, because I knew that that was what would
Did they
happen.
say that to you in the context of knowing that you were gay, or that was just like the sex talk for everybody got, regardless of your orientation?
So when I came out, and when I came out to my mom, her response was like, "Well, I knew since you were 4." So I think it was connected.
You're like, thanks, that doesn't really help, but
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think we're gonna talk about our coming out stories. I don't know if that's the segue yet.
yeah, the episode is called Coming Out, and we're working backwards in time. We're like, okay, we're gonna start from where we are now, and then I'm gonna go all the way back until I was 14.
And I mean, we can do it that way too. But I guess by now the listeners can probably figure out that we're gonna be talking about the gay journey, how fucking difficult the journey is, healing toxic relationships, therapy for sure. But also the reason why we wanted to do the podcast for me personally is I've been feeling a lot of gloom And now I'm not even talking about politics. We actually decided to do this was last year. We still had the other president. Things were not as gloomy as current, but I feel like in social media I see a lot of gay men just lost or they have lost hope in dating or that just doesn't happen, but there's also this desire of connection. There is this desire of wanting that relationship, but I also see that there's little work on themselves or little work on community, and I find it fascinating that like we're not doing that. And so uh I wanted to talk about those things. I wanted to talk about social media in general. I think that that's a big topic for gay people as well. um but tell me from your perspective, Ryan, like what would you say are the reasons why you wanted to do the podcast?
I guess I would. I mean, I think the first thing that you were talking about is kind of like, I guess, more of where I would see myself in this podcast is like, I like the idea of doing something that in some way, shape, or form hopefully like helps gay men feel comfortable communicating about things. Like I think one of the things that like kind of like sparked like the us doing this is I was talking to you about some guy I had gone on a date with, a couple of dates with, who like just like ghosted me or something like
Correct.
that. And um it was just so like m- confounding, flabbergasting. Like my brain just like could not compute
At
the
this point,
fact.
you have not dated for how long?
Um, Josh and I have been together for 6 years,
Yeah.
and I don't even know if you can like call what him and I did dating, because it was just kind of like, I don't know. It was just like so instant. Like we had just like such like an instant,
Mm.
powerful
Yeah.
connection where it felt like this like instant effortlessness of like, I feel like we just really skipped the like whole dating
Mm.
process. And I guess I would honestly say something maybe even similar of my first partner, where it was like, I don't really recall like going on out on dates. We just kind of like started hanging out, and then it was really good and we wanted to spend all of our time together.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I haven't been dating for about 6 years,
Yeah.
and it's just, I guess I expected coming back into the scene at the age of 33, that it would not be so immature. But surprisingly, though, the second guy who I started going on dates with, while it was like basically the same amount of time that we were in each other's atmosphere, at least while he was younger, at least like had the balls to communicate to me like, hey, this isn't working. I don't see this going anywhere romantically, but I'm open to like, like we don't have to like completely stop talking to each other. I've enjoyed getting to know you. We can still like hang out and do stuff.
I mean, it's so simple.
It's like, that's what I mean. It's like not only just the like, I can't imagine like how his brain was working, like what his brain was thinking, like leading up. Cause like I remember we had got out on a date maybe on like a Thursday, and then I went back to his place and I left my necklace at his place, and then I went back to his place to get it Saturday. And on Saturday, we're like talking about our next hangout.
Mm.
And then I text him Sunday, no response. I text him Monday, I get one response. And then like maybe Wednesday, I texted him again and he just didn't respond at all. And at that point, I went and checked Instagram and found out that he had unfollowed me on Instagram.
Oh no,
And I was like,
not that way,
that's what I mean. Like that
guys.
is
Guys,
high school
it literally
bullshit.
it literally takes one simple text of being like, "Hey, I have fun with you. I don't think that we're a match. I don't think I'm a match for you. Whatever you want us to be like." It literally just take a text, and it's so much mature and emotionally safe for everybody. Let's just agree as a community just to do that. Just like save it on your notes, just write it out, and like when it's not
You
working
can
out,
have Chat GPT write it for you nowadays. Just
l-
prompt Chat GPT,
that's
say, I gotta
right.
break up with
That's
this
right.
dude. We've only been out on 3 dates. What should I text him?
Not even, it's like even after one date, you can do this, you know? And I have heard the other argument. Oh, but I don't feel like I owe anything to anybody. And that's fine if it's like both sides decide not to text anymore.
But I was clearly texting him
Yeah.
and getting blatantly ignored.
Yeah. That is unnecessary. That is unnecessary to put anybody through that. Just make your intentions clear. It's okay not to like the other person. Like
That's what I mean. My brain just cannot compute like what the point is of doing that.
absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
we live in the same city. Do you know what it's like being gay? We're gonna run into each
It
other
is
again.
so small in
Like,
San Francisco.
I'm gonna see you, and it's gonna be super awkward now, and I cannot wait to like read
Oh
this
my goodness.
motherfucker with my eyeballs.
Yeah. So, yeah. Did you get your necklace back?
I did, yeah.
Oh,
Oh
that's
yeah,
good.
absolutely.
That's
There's
good.
no fucking way I would have
I
let that happen.
I
I would have
I
been banging down the door on the building that he lived at.
I made a rookie mistake recently, and I gave my favorite hoodie to
Oh
someone.
no. Your
Think-
favorite?
Yeah.
Oh no, I would never.
And I honestly, we were fuck buddies for a while, and finally he gets closer to the city, and so I thought we were gonna date, and we went on this beautiful walk in the forest. Um, and then he came over and we cuddled. We didn't have sex that time, it had been quite some time. And it was really cold and he was wearing shorts and like a tandem or whatever. Like I was like, oh, just take my hoodie, it's fine, like don't worry about it. Like absolutely believing that he was going to message me. Hasn't happened.
Have you reached out to him?
I have not, because I made it really clear that time. I have initiated a lot, and I feel like at this point, my intentions were very clear. I want to date you. I want to go on dates with you. I even told him when we were cuddling, I was like, hey, like, I really like you. The reason why, we had like a fallout at some point because he stood me up as fuck buddies. And I was like, the moment that you stood me up and I got upset, I realized that I had feelings for you.
Yeah.
That was the thing that like made me upset. Because prior to that, if you cancel me, we'll be fine.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean,
like,
if you don't care, you don't
yeah.
care.
And so so I was like, you know what I would like is for you to like reach out, and to see you again. And he agreed obviously to this. And it was really weird, and I almost actually blocked him because after months of not seeing each other, he messaged me at 10 p.m. the day before. We were gonna go to the forest at 11 a.m. the next morning.
So wait, so timeline is you had the good cuddle moment. He left with your hoodie, and then it's been months.
No. Sorry. Okay, thank you. I am ADHD brain. Yes, I'm jumping all over the place here. We were fuck buddies like last year, and I was not in a relationship mode, but I have taken note of how awesome this guy was. Then he went traveling, and when he went traveling, we kind of rekindled, but we were not obviously available to be together. And through those messaging, I was like, hey, like I wasn't ready then, but I'm ready now. And I do recognize, all these things that happen between us that like make me like you a lot. And I want us to like explore dating. And so he came back, and I still didn't hear from him for a while. And then out of the blue one day, he's like, hey, I'm moving to your city. He was across the water, in that other continent.
East
Yeah,
Bay.
the other continent across the bridge. And so I was
So
like,
he
oh,
hit you up for a green card.
yeah, exactly. And so anyhow, so he shows up here in the city. He moves in, and like a week or two later, he hits me up to go on a walk. It was like literally the last holiday day that we had, like last month, and the night before. So we arranged for 11 a.m. on a Monday, which was a day that I had off and he had off. Um, at 10 p.m. on Sunday, he texted me telling me, "Hey, my friend just landed here from some other place. And
Oakland.
and I'm wondering if it's okay if we cancel tomorrow. And I got pissed because you don't call someone at 10 p.m. I was already sleeping.
I was gonna say at that point, like
yeah.
there's possibility that you're not even getting that message until
Yeah,
you wake up in the
exactly.
morning.
And so, and that's what it happened. And I messaged him in the morning. I was like, "Hey, I'm really upset. Like, this is my day off that I did not make any plans because you wanted to go on a hike, you know, an hour away from here. Like, I knew that the whole day was gonna be spent with you, and you're canceling on me on at 10 a.m." And so I didn't hear back from him. And then, at 10, he's like, "Hey, are you still on? Because my friend canceled on me."
10 a.m. that morning.
Right. And so the answer wasn't, there was no answer.
He didn't respond to your message at all,
Like,
just
yes,
immediately
because
glossed over it.
he asked a question. I was like, "Are you okay if we do this?" And I was like, "No, I'm not okay because this is the plan that I made and I've been looking forward to this. And also, like, I find it distasteful and disrespectful."
Yep.
And so at 10 a.m., you know, I still kind of wasn't sure if we were going to go, but I assumed that, you know, he understood that we were not canceling. You know, like I thought that it was an option. If the option was up to me, it's like, no, I don't want to cancel because I don't have anything else planned. And so the response, instead of being like, "Hey, yeah, you're right, I'm gonna go pick you up," you know, he's like, "Oh no, are you still on because my friend canceled on me?" So it was never a question. I realized, and so at that point now I'm upset, and I was like, it took me a minute to answer. I was like, "Yeah, it's fine. I'm still around." You know, I'm like, "Of course." Like, what do you think that happened since 10 p.m. until now?
No, I've made a full day of plans now.
Yeah, like I wasn't gonna answer that because it was obviously not genuine. Um, so I brought it up right away as soon as I got in the car. I was like, "I'm really upset. Like like you were okay with canceling after all this months, you know, after not seeing me, after we already had an issue about this, you
Well,
know."
not only was he okay with canceling on you, but then completely avoided responding to your emotions about being canceled on.
Yeah. And so he apologized. You know, I told him, it's like, if you cancel on me, you were gonna be blocked. And so anyhow, we had a great date. It was amazing.
It can only go up from there. So.
Right. True. And then I kind of believed that we were gonna like continue dating, you know. But the worst thing about this is that I gave him my favorite hoodie.
How long ago did you give him this hoodie?
A month now.
Girl, just reach out for your hoodie.
Uh,
He lives in the city?
yeah.
Yeah, bitch, give me my hoodie back.
I deleted his number yesterday.
You still, then the text messages.
No, I deleted everything.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You have
it's
no
okay.
access?
Dude, it's a $30 hoodie.
Oh, okay. Well, still though, if you can't like replace it.
Well, I tried to replace it. They don't have it in stock right now. So,
Yeah.
Young LA, if you're listening to this, can you restock your Earth line of hoodies?
Who is this?
Young LA.
Young LA? Yeah.
Yeah. If you're listening to this. Anyhow, let's move on from this topic. I'm done. I don't want to talk about my hoodie. So where are we? Why the title?
Oh my God. Honestly, it was not either it wasn't Dario's favorite and it wasn't my favorite. Dario input his version of, okay, so obviously it's a play off of Live Laugh Love. And Dario had his version of it, which I don't even remember what your version was now. And then I had my version of it. And we asked everybody to vote between the two versions. And then the version Live Laugh Loads was I think I mean, they were all
Yeah, they were all AI.
they were all AI generated, but this was the one we were like, it makes the most sense, but it's not my favorite. And then literally everybody voted for
Yeah,
it.
it was unanimous. So we gave the people what they wanted.
But to build, it's that because I mean those are kind of the talking points are life. Obviously we've laughed a whole bunch already, and we're gonna talk about sex related stuff. So
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
what was Where the top conversation is light, but the loads are heavy, or something like.
That was Ryan's tagline.
Yeah.
Or come take a load off.
Come take a load off. Yeah.
So, I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
Um,
Come take a load off is good.
all right, and we have a script, by the way, that we're trying to follow.
We haven't followed it at all.
But
So
we
far.
are so bad. So this is gonna be like a 3 hour like fucking thing if we get through it.
Well, at this point, we've got like 2 episodes in one, I think. So there will be all the parts of the episode where we like actually hit the talking points, and then all the parts where we didn't hit the talking points, and we conglomerate together to create a whole other episode.
I hope so. I hope it's easy to edit. We have not got into that step.
That was what the whole 3 hours of setting up was trying to establish.
Yeah, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully, we found
Podcasters level 1.
Yeah. I don't know if we even need to talk about any memorable dating experience. I don't think we're already numbered.
We've definitely, I mean, we definitely started at least. I mean, there's
Yeah.
definitely more that we could, but I think that that's an episode where we're specifically focusing on that. So,
Oh, well, I guess, at this point we do say that we are kind of winging it. So,
as the first one, I think it should probably be the Lucyest Goosey.
yeah. And so, okay, well, let's talk about us a little bit because I think we were supposed to do an introduction. I don't even know what none of these things. Okay, yeah, this is a good one. So I'm single, and you're in a
And I've been dating
Yeah.
person for 6 years now.
6 years, and you're in a long-term relationship right now.
Long term,
No,
long
no
distance.
distance. That's what I meant. It's long and so. But
Everything
anyways,
about the relationship is long.
well, that's nice. We like long. So, and you are in an open relationship, correct?
Yeah, Josh and I have actually been open from day one. So like when I was talking about kind of like having skipped the dating phase, the way that I met Josh was that him and a Cirque du Soleil dancer.
Oh, I wonder if I know him.
I'll show you pictures. I don't actually even remember
Was his name Eric?
I don't think so.
Curtis?
I don't think.
No, wait. Curtis
Definitely
is the one
not
I know.
Curtis.
Okay.
I don't remember what his name
Okay.
was. Josh and a Cirque du Soleil dancer came into the restaurant. I thought that they were both hot. I walked up to them and gave them both a business card with my number on it, and I was like, balls in your court. And then Josh waited 48 hours before texting me.
Did he have the rule?
What was that?
Did he have the rule that
I
you
don't
have
know.
to wait?
I don't know. It just drove. Well, he waited because he actually. So that was a Wednesday, and then I remember I worked Thursday, and then I was off on Friday. But he, I guess, came into the restaurant on Friday, and he knew he was coming back to the restaurant on Friday, so that's why he didn't text me, because he was like, "I'm just gonna see him in person in a couple days anyway."
That's nice.
And then realized I wasn't there, so then he texted me.
Oh, okay.
And then I went out. That happened to be the Cirque du Soleil's dancers last weekend in town before.
Do you
the
remember
show.
what show?
If I looked him up, I don't remember the name of it now, but I would have to go. He had blue hair. He had weird, crazy blue hair.
Isn't that all of them?
This one was specifically about like one lead male who had this like crazy blue hair. That's all I remember about the performance. The guy was really hot, so I was just looking at his abs.
Yeah, they're all very good.
Yeah, he was gorgeous. So then I spent the whole weekend, the three of us, just hooking up. And then Monday rolled around and he had to leave, and I think I had to work that afternoon, and then Josh texted me. He's like, "Hey, we should talk." So I came back to his place that night, and he's like, "I've been really into you for a really, really long time."
Oh,
And
so you guys knew each other.
he knew me. I didn't remember him.
When the gay experience. Yeah.
Well, backtrack.
I had a crush on you for 25 years.
And I never noticed. No, backtracking to when we were still at the restaurant. So like what I did was I made the server. I was like, "You need to find out what's going on at that table for me." And then she comes back to me and she's like, "One of them said they knew you." And I was like, "Oh shit." So I go up and he's like, "Oh yeah, we've been talking on Grindr for like a year." And I was like, "I think I recognize your necklace." I think I actually said
Show me your nipples. Oh yeah. Yeah. I see
Let me
that.
see
I
the
recognize
torso.
the torso. Yes.
But yeah, no, Josh told me that he had like come to the restaurant on a couple of times in the hopes to like interact with me in person. So
Do you want to mention the restaurant? Where was it?
Seasons 52, the upscaled version of Olive Garden.
We're dropping names here. Someone needs to sponsor us.
Not Darden. Please don't sponsor us. Where would we even start with that question? Oh, we've been open. So yeah, so I mean, part of one of our
Did you start it open or? Well, I mean, you started on a threesome apparently.
yeah, well, and then part of the conversation that first night when I went over and he confided in me that he was super into me, and I was like, well, the past couple of days have been really nice, so I'm interested in hanging out more. So I remember, so I was 27. That was in August, and I had just gone to my first circuit party like a month before in New York, and had like
Oh
a
Jesus.
I'm gonna be a slut phase. I was like, I'm gonna be a hoe now phase.
That's
So I went to Josh and I was like, listen, I've like not really been super um s- like I wouldn't consider myself like a very active person sexually. I'm very much interested in changing that right now. So I
Unless I meet you.
yeah, and so it was like I really like you. I'm interested in continuing to spend time with you and get to know you, but I also want to have a lot of sex with a lot of people. So we can do that together if you're open to that. And that's where it started, was that
But you also have established that foundation right from the
right from the get-go. Yeah. So and then eventually it's progressed to like when we first started, we only did stuff together, and then eventually we started doing stuff independently. And now that we're on opposite sides of the country and amidst a bunch of other contexts that I'm sure will come up in other episodes, I'm actually in a process where I'm kind of like exploring, like I've talked about, going on dates with other people. So I'm interested in checking out the polygamy scene.
Interesting. So Ryan and I are very different. Wait, do we talk about are you a romantic, Ryan?
What do you mean?
Also, by the way, there's this mute button, and I think all our listeners are like hearing your drinking and your coughing.
I turn away for the cough. There's not much I can
But
do.
I think that that's what these buttons are for.
So you want me to mute myself when
I think so.
Okay, we're learning.
If you remember,
I will try my
I was
best.
just noticing that because I can really hear Ryan on my ears.
Yeah, we
if
can
you
hear
know-
each other
yeah.
better than we can hear ourselves.
Yeah.
So.
So, are you a romantic? What'd you say?
But again, I'm gonna ask, like, what do you mean when you say, like, am I a romantic person?
Like, do you like romanticism, the sweetness and the like notes and the dating and the roses and the chocolates and all of that?
I would put myself at like a 6 or a 7 on a scale of 10.
Oh wow. And do you believe in the one?
I don't think so. Not for not for everybody. I think that some people can
Yeah.
have like a 1. I think that at least right now, I don't know. I'm in a very like exploratory phase.
Do you believe in marriage?
Yeah. With just one person?
No. With as many as you desire. I don't know. What kind of marriage do you believe in?
I personally, right now at this
And I-
phase in my life, do not believe in like a partnership with a romantic partnership with a singular person.
Okay. That's fair. Yeah.
I am very much, I think I'm just trying to explore like this concept of being able to like get different things from different people. Like I love my partner, but like I think everybody like out there, you know, I don't get everything that I need from my partner. That's why we have friends and hobbies and we have our work relationships and stuff like that.
Correct.
And I just I in this phase of trying to explore like are there things that I'm not getting there are things that I'm not getting from my relationship, but I love this person and I want to continue to have them in my life. Um, can I get those things from other people in a healthy way?
Yeah. I think that that's pretty healthy.
And then Dario is the complete opposite of me.
Maybe. I'm definitely monogamous, and I don't think I explore being open, or that I could explore being open, because my relationships haven't gotten to the point where like that feels safe enough.
Mute yourself. Come on.
Sorry. Sorry guys, we're learning. Yeah, I'm hitting things. Uh I yeah, I don't think like I have gotten in relationships far enough or deep enough, or in a place that just felt that the trust was there for me to relax into the concept of opening up. And so, yeah, so I'm very monogamous, but I'm very monogamous. I think like there has to be, beyond the psychology of it, there must be also a biological component to it, because I do feel that when I like someone and I'm into someone, and that someone is giving me really good sex, that I do not have any desire for anybody else. And the one person that I would just think about is that person that is making me feel really good.
Would you say that like scenario that you just described, is that like a thing that you've maintained with another singular human being for a long period of time? Or because it felt to me like you were kind of describing like the honeymoon phase of a relationship.
Yeah, I think like, well, so we will have to disclose me and my inner self. We will disclose that my longest relationship has been a year. So I think we were past the honeymoon phase at that point, and that feeling still remained for me and for that other person as well. He was very monogamous also. Maybe more so than me, because I do feel that at that point in time, the trust was there, and I thought about it. I was like, oh, I understand why gays in long-term relationships may feel comfortable opening up a relationship, because I knew that this person absolutely loved me. There was no doubt in my being that, he will choose me over anybody else. And it had gotten to a point that it felt so safe that, it lowered my triggers of abandonment, my issues with trust in general, to a point that I was like, oh yeah, sure, he wanted to. But even then, I just didn't have a desire to explore anything else. And if anything, I think it would be more around, I think we were probably at the point where like, let's explore what else we can do together. And I think that maybe there's layers to this and there's stages, but that's as far as I got it.
Well, and I think also like context really matters, because I don't think that I would probably be able to I don't even know if I would have the desire to do what I'm doing right now if Josh were here, if my partner was living in the same like
Right.
if
Right.
I mean, we were living together in the same apartment for a lot of time, but even I'm thinking, even if definitely if we were living together, I feel like it would be probably less likely that I would have come to this place. Maybe if we were living separately, there would be an increased chance.
Right. Yeah, I think like obviously sexual desire also, it's something that, you know, now that I'm 40s, like that has declined obviously from my 20s. So it also feels like sex for the sake of sex has less of a enticing quality to me. If it does happen, it's just more like I need to still feel very safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's just not what it used to be in my 20s.
Yeah, well, and I think another point that I want to bring up too is for me, like like I said, I mean, even when I'm trying to go through like a hoe phase, I'm still like really picky about the people who I'm gonna hook up with, and like agree that like I'm at baseline not super interested in like no strings attached like grinder sniffies
Oh
meetups.
dear.
For me, like
That's an episode.
like
That
oh yeah, well,
the experience of social dating
um
hookup apps is, oh my god.
for me, part of the appeal of openness is that like for me the best sexual encounters, even if like sex doesn't even actually happen, are just like those natural, you're out and about, you meet somebody, the chemistry is really good, the environment is like supportive of whatever is happening between the two of you. So it's always very circumstantial. So for me, it's a lot about like, I want to be able to have the opportunity because I don't like do the thing where I can just hook up with people without the circumstances um driving the desire to do it. Because I don't do that, like I want to be able to have the opportunity to have those experiences when they come up naturally
Yeah.
because I'm not simulating them.
Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Beyond monogamy, we learned this word recently because I will actually be down to be part of a throuple,
Mm-hmm.
but it has to be a monogamous throuple, but it didn't make sense to us. And so the word is bigamy? Bigamy?
Bigamy.
Bigamy.
Bigamy. I only have sex with two people.
Yeah. And I would want them to also have sex
We're all
with you.
we're all bigamists.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound good.
No, it doesn't sound
It
sexy
sounds
at all.
it sounds terrible.
But I absolutely would feel that that's a dream state, but it also probably so hard to find.
Well, I mean, I would say that I'm definitely more interested in like a relationship of people who all get along in some way,
Right.
shape, or form, interact and engage with each other versus like I have my life with my partner and then I have my life with the other person that I'm dating and this other person that I'm dating. Like I don't necessarily like the idea of like having all these separate lives.
Ugh, that sounds exhausting.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's just like I would just never be able to. Like I would never be able
Yeah.
to just like turn off talking about this whole other component
Yeah,
of my life.
I attempted dating someone in a long-term relationship. Um, no, actually, they're married. I think they were married for like 9 years, I believe. And we tried, but I could tell that like, and I was technically the boyfriend, but it didn't work out because he didn't have time. And sometimes in like the most intimate moments, he will bring out his husband, which was kind of like not a turn on, like I was like, I know that you have this whole life with this person, and I'm not trying to compete with it, but also the moments that are ours are not ours. And so I felt like I was just adding to his life, but he couldn't meet my needs in terms of timing and my desire to connect often or to be in communication consistently. It did felt like I was like this extra.
The secondary, the other.
The
Yeah.
other, for sure.
Yeah, in that situation, there's like a clear primary. I think that's there. I think there's different kind of like dynamics with thruples. I think that there are thruples where it's like, yeah, there's kind of like a primary couple, and then maybe they're like bring another person in versus
Right.
like three people who just kind of like unanimously all want to be with each other
And love each other. Yeah,
Yeah.
like that sounds absolutely like a fantasy.
And 3 incomes, baby.
Oh my god. Can you imagine the place you will get?
Dreams,
Oh
goals.
my god. Seriously. So our main topic for this first episode, or maybe it's gonna be two, who knows? It's coming out. We're gonna have rotating topics. We have at least 10 different episodes planned, and we'll give you a sneak peek of what those are later. But let's maybe talk about our coming out stories.
Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in to Live, Laugh, Loads. We want to try to keep episodes to about an hour and a half or so we're going to take a break here. Come take a load off with us next week and catch the next part of this episode.
You can listen to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube.
You guys can check us out on Instagram at LiveLaughLoads.podcast, on Bluesky at LiveLaughLoadsCast, or look us up at LiveLaughLoads.com.